It's a good world. Good world going bad.
Millions and millions of Americans right now are living paycheck to paycheck. In fact, apparently 78% of all Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and less than 20% of all Americans have more than $2,000 saved in their bank account. And you guys, that is an absolute American tragedy. Now, welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in, and today we're going to continue to talk about the fact that society will spend to the end. And that's exactly how the economy and really the whole world is designed. But you and I can break that pattern. We don't have to be part of the sheep. We can win during the clearly incoming recession. And I say clearly incoming because we can look at deficit spending, yield curve inversion, the fact that we have an overwhelming amount of new jobs that are from the government and not the private sector, and the full-time private jobs disappearing, in fact, becoming extinct. And so that's why I would say that, but there's many other reasons. But regardless, you guys, today we're going to go into all that stuff. And I would ask you, if you guys learn anything, please hit like. And other than that, give me a bonkers below. Share with me your intel. Let me know your thoughts on this. And I'm going to be asking you guys questions. So when I ask you a question, please hit pause and give me your answer below. So we'll jump right into a Forbes article titled Living Paycheck to Paycheck Statistics for 2024. And some of this stuff, you guys, I mean, I am like speechless. Now, here's the definition. So it's important to understand what is their definition of living paycheck to paycheck. For the purposes of this survey, living paycheck to paycheck describes a financial scenario in which an individual or family's income barely covers essential living expenses like housing, utilities, groceries, and transportation. One missed paycheck would put someone living paycheck to paycheck in a difficult spot. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, it's difficult or impossible to save, let alone invest. This makes you even more vulnerable in times of emergency or lost income. And I would say, guys, comment below, but I would say that's pretty accurate, description of paycheck to paycheck. Now, again, I've already given you this answer, but the question is how many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck? According to a 2023 survey conducted by payroll.org, it highlighted that 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. That is a 6%. It was already this crazy high, but that's a 6% increase from last year. In other words, more than 3/4 of Americans struggle to save or invest after paying for their monthly expenses. That is insane, you guys. And it goes on here, and this is crazy. Even more concerning, 29% reported that their income doesn't even cover their standard expenses. So according to that, 29% of Americans do not make enough money to cover their bills. That's completely different. So they don't even have enough money to cover their bills. It's a shame, you guys. Okay, guys, so the first question here, okay, which is how are families impacted by living paycheck to paycheck? And this is going to be interesting, guys. So it's going to ask you, if you have 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, or 4 kids, are you most likely to be paycheck to paycheck? So do you think if you have 1 child, are you more likely, or if you have 3 children, right? So, my first guess is, maybe the more children you have, the higher likelihood it is for you to be living paycheck to paycheck. What do you guys think? Now, the results were surprising. Families with 1 child were the most likely to report living paycheck to paycheck. So this is analyzing families. So again, it's just like you rookies, like just 1 child, right? Okay, that's crazy. So again, if you have 1 child, 51.8%. So that's more than half. That's still a crisis. But look at this. This is so crazy to me. You're less likely to be living paycheck to paycheck if you have 2 kids. Only 31.1% chance. That is a huge drop. But it skyrockets up if you have 3 kids to 46%. And if you have 4 kids, 42%. But look at this. I don't know how this is possible. Okay. But it drops significantly again if you have 5 or more children. How's that possible? So if you have 5 or more children, only 27.5% living paycheck. I mean, imagine living paycheck to paycheck with 5 or more children. Imagine the stress and anxiety Overwhelming, you guys. All right, so the next question is what's causing Americans to live paycheck to paycheck? Pause it, comment below. Let me know what you think the number one cause of Americans living paycheck to paycheck is. All right, you guys, so when we look at the reasons, number one reason, high monthly bills. Okay, so the number one reason, high monthly bills, probably inflation. So I get it. I'm surprised not all of them, but regardless, 49% of the people that are living paycheck to paycheck. But look at this, guys. The second highest one is so depressing to me because this means that half those people can change that. Half those people can get out of the rat race. At least, it's probably more than that, but at least half, because look at 46.4% of them says they are living paycheck to paycheck because they lack of budgeting and financial planning, which means they make enough money. In fact, when we look at the next reason, only 43% say they're living paycheck to paycheck because of low income. So that means, again, most people are not spending their money properly. This one doesn't really make sense. Only 31% say because of the increase of living. Very, very interesting. Very interesting stuff here. Okay, guys, so this next one really hurt my soul here. This next question for you guys is, how much do those living paycheck to paycheck have in savings? This one's going to hurt. Okay, but comment below how many of those people have money in savings. Say $2,000 or more. So out of the people living paycheck to paycheck, how many have $2,000 or more in savings? Which is what? Less than 1 month of rent? That's not good. So only 19% have over $2,000. That's it. Only 19%. That's messed up. That's messed up, you guys. And in fact, only 16% have $1,500 to $2,000. I mean, this is crazy. And 8% basically have no money. In fact, would you say that $2,000 is even savings when you have 5 kids? I would say that's no money saved. Now, this goes on, you guys. This is the shocking thing here. This is super depressing. 71.93% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck have $2,000 or less in savings. Think about that for a second. How does that make you feel? Think about the anxiety. Think about the stress. Think about the hopelessness. Think about all the physical things that does to you, and then add children on top of that. And the more and more and more children. Think about what is going on right now. This is, people say, oh, stop whining, stop crying. Oh, stop playing the victim. I mean, I don't know how else to call it. I mean, how are we not a victim when we didn't do this? I mean, it's the Federal Reserve. It's the Federal Reserve and, politicians and greed, corruption, and fraud. Would you guys agree with me on that? Comment below. Let me know what you think. Let's move on. Now, this is a survey, you guys. This is even crazier. Half of U.S. homeowners and renters, so not just homeowners, but also renters, half of them regularly or greatly struggle to afford their housing payments. And when we look here, you guys, the most common sacrifices people make to afford housing, look at this. The first one goes into the premise that, okay, you're not spending right. Okay, because the number one sacrifice, 34% said take few or no vacations. In my opinion, a vacation is a privilege. It's not going is not a sacrifice. It's just something that it's a privilege. You am I wrong to look at that like that? Okay, which brings us to the next practical one. It's actually not even practical. It's actually super depressing. Meals. 22%. 22% of Americans are skipping meals to afford to live. Insane, you guys. Absolutely insane. And then we got 20% worked additional hours and shifts at jobs. Good, because that's what you should do. Some people are selling their belongings. 20% sold their belongings. I mean, things are absolutely insane right now. Now, let's flash back in time real quick so I can show you guys what's called home to median household income ratio. That means how much salary, how many years of salary would it take for you to pay off your home? Now, let's just imagine we have better spending habits than the past, which we don't. Our forefathers would be rolling and are, in fact, rolling in their graves right now. It is what it is. But look at this, guys. Here's a PE ratio right now. This is to December of 2023. It's at 7.61. We have never had a period of time where the prices of houses were so far out of reach to fundamentals as we do right now. Now, people want to compare the 70s and 80s. Okay, fine. Oh, interest rates were 18%. The interest rates were 18%. Well, let's not talk about the prices, which were way lower than what they are now. Just look at the PE ratio. You guys, this entire time, the PE ratio was in the 3s and 4s. Look at this. 3s and 4s, all of the 70s and 80s. Look at that. When did it hit 5? Let's see. So it first hit 5 in, see here, boom, right there. March of 2002. Unbelievable. That's when it hit 5%. Now, if we go back in time, we go all, you can see that it's actually back in the 1950s, it was in the sixes. So very, very interesting. You would have to go back again. You have to go back 80 years to see that. So not only do we have this huge price, the prices are out of control. Interest rates are also decade highs. Look at the national payment to income ratio. Now I want to make clear, this is not a great way. This is, in fact, a horrible way to calculate someone's payment to income ratio for their house. As a loan officer of over 2 decades, I could tell you this is not how debt to income ratio is calculated. We also use homeowners insurance, property taxes, and also HOA dues. This is only including principal and interest. It's not including the skyrocketing taxes we have right now, and it's not including the skyrocketing insurance, which is like an adjustable rate mortgage, because those expenses are adjustable, they're not fixed, and those are the ones that are skyrocketing. But regardless of that, right now we're sitting at 34.4%. You guys, that is horrible. That is higher than the GFC. So we have a payment bubble, we have a price bubble, and people are still buying. This is absolutely terrible. Terrible stuff going on right now, but 34.4%. That's not healthy. And the reason is income. And here's median household income. Now, this shows it going up slightly. Okay, this shows it in 2022, and this is all lagging data. I hate how much all this lags. But in 2022, 74,580, which is nothing for a household. But regardless, it shows the trajectory going upward. However, when we look at real median household income, which is adjusted for inflation, okay, the cost to live, it's been plummeting. So on one hand, you have, expenses and asset prices and all of these things going up, the cost to live going up, quantitative tightening going up at the same time that real wages, you guys, that's going down. And so we are getting beat up right now. And not only are we getting beat up, you guys, we're not saving. So on top of getting beat up, we're also not, and make no mistake, we're not just not saving because of inflation. We're also not saving because we are a society of spend to the end. We are a society of debt. We are a society of bad spending habits. We are a society that can only survive by your bad spending habits. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to have bad spending habits because I want to get ahead of all those people. But look at the savings rate sitting at 3.6. Going again back into the 70s and 80s during recession, people were saving. You guys, you see here at 12%, 1974, 12%, 12.9%. Look at this. Even in the 80s, 12.6%. Look at this. In the 12s, 11 and 12s. This is insane. You guys, we're not in a position to sustain as a society. We're not in a position to hold. And you guys, this is not going to last. And we see that. We see that here. This is one of the most important matrices. Can people pay their bills? Delinquencies, okay? One of the most important. When they stop paying their bills, everything falls apart. Look at credit card delinquency rates, okay? This is skyrocketing. Now, we're sitting at right now 3.1. Okay, that's the Q4 2023. Now, let's talk about 3.1. First of all, that's a 12-year high, okay? 12-year high, just so everyone, chillaxes. Q1 of 2012 was at 3.06, so we have a 12-year high, all right? 12-year high in delinquency rate with the trajectory skyrocketing. But I want to acknowledge, going back to the GFC and the recession prior to that, the delinquency rate was in the 3 and 4s. So right now it's in the low 3s, but again, what I'm saying is we still have room for delinquencies, but we see that skyrocketing, which means people can't pay their bills. Now, what's also interesting is take a look at this, guys. Here's real M2. So again, consumers can't save. Delinquencies skyrocketing, real income going down, people living paycheck to paycheck increasing, while at the same time, real M2 money supply has been declining since 2022. This is insane, which means there's less money in the system. Now, again, this is real, okay? So that's adjusted for inflation. However, when we look at nominal M2, this has been going down as well, you guys. This has been going down since when? April 18th, 2022. This has been going down and this is the first time since the Great Depression. Again, this is the first time since the Great Depression. Why? Because the quantitative tightening that's going on right now. And so what people should be doing is saving their money and preparing for recession. Even if you think we're going to have a soft landing, we're not there yet. So again, save, you guys, rebudget, spend with a purpose. Ask yourself, should I buy that? Just save, please. Save. The more money we save before recession, the better off we are. And to the half of the people, it's probably more than that, living paycheck to paycheck, that are only living paycheck to paycheck, you guys are part of the problem, not only for you, but for the rest of us. Please, I beg to you, actually, stop. Just stop. Stop for a little while, a year, 2 years. And what I do with my money, instead of buying subscriptions, I buy T-bills. Like, all right, when can I get this much money so I can buy my next round of T-bills? Because I like to T-bill and chill. Now, other than that, guys, I really hope you guys got value. If you did, again, give me a like below. Shoot me a bonkers regardless. And if you're out there investing in real estate, you guys already know I wish you luck. And I hope you win.